Hello everyone and welcome to this edition of Olsem Wanem. Tonight we feature a variety of stories including the Climate Change Open Day that was held recently in Port Moresby and also the Mesime Water Project as well as Cube Technology.
The Ministry of Forestry and Climate Change held an open day dedicated to educating and advocating for climate change issues. The theme of the event was changing mindsets to get people aware of what is happening within their environment. Various environment organizations, stakeholders, and the general public converged at the indoor complex to witness the inaugural event. The day began with dances leading the arrival of dignitaries, including the Minister responsible, Honorable Patrick Pruich, and special guest Deputy Prime Minister Leo Dion.
Climate change is a cross-cutting issue in the world today. We have the developed world who are out there in terms of development, protecting their interests. We also have the poorest countries, the smaller countries, particularly the small island countries in the Pacific who are lagging in development, who are also putting their hands up, who are arguing for recognition in terms of the results of climate change. And it is very important for us to meet somewhere to address these cross-cutting issues. And I will be taking a submission to Cabinet to ensure that we as a country recognize a climate change open day throughout the country. This is consistent with our idea of making sure that at the provincial and local level government there is a climate change committee to address climate change issues on the ground. And we believe that
the Deputy Prime Minister praised the ministry for organizing such an important event, urging the young students to adhere to protecting the environment.
I want to congratulate the Minister for Forest and Climate Change for organizing this very special event. And I want to thank all the stakeholders. I may miss you out in my acknowledgement, but if you are in any way sponsoring and taking part in these very important occasions, I must acknowledge you and thank you. And also for your participation here today. And I thank the teachers and the children from the various schools here in Port Moresby who are taking part in this very important event. The theme for today, as mentioned by my colleague Minister, is changing the mindset. And I find this fitting in this transition phase of our country's development. Our nation must make it a culture and habit to live a life which is effective and efficient. Planting new trees must be a behavior and not an obligation. Looking after mangroves must be a core and not a rule. Switching power off when not in use must be part of our nature. Looking after our environment assets must be within our character. We should be proud of what we have before we lose it to the change in climate. We have to fight the battle on behalf of our beautiful environment because it is man that caused climate change.
The day continued with entertainment centered around the theme, while the public continued touring the various booths on display.
It's up to you and me. We've got to start changing our mindset.
The forest here in PNG, the coverage, the percentage coverage is about 60%. It's one of the highest coverage in the world. Previously, like back in the 80s and 90s, we had almost about 80-90% forest coverage. Now we're down to 60% and it's getting lower. So we need to look at managing our forest. Those areas that have grassland areas, we need to have those planted up.
When I refer to emissions, I'm talking about the gases that are produced by vehicles and also produced by other human activities like factories or other you can name fire. Those could be termed as emissions.
We have prioritized hazards, different priority hazards. So we have prioritized 6 different hazards, actually 9 hazards, and we try to address these 9 hazards, and I will just go through quickly those 9 hazards. They are coastal flooding, inland flooding, agriculture yield loss, coral reef decay, landslips, cities and climate change migration, health and sanitation. And what I can say is that climate change is happening all around us. Maybe some realize that it is happening, others not, but there are some little things that you can do to try and combat, these impacts of climate change. And these little things include, like, for coastal defense, you can plant mangroves along your coast, or other trees which where mangroves cannot grow, you can plant them. So yeah, that's just one example of what you can do without help from Port Moresby or wherever. Yeah.
In commemorating the event, balloons were released into the sky as a reminder of how precious the air is for every living being on Earth.
This is Olsem Wanem. In the next segment, we look at an interesting piece of technology that is environmentally friendly. Water supply is always in demand and a much needed service within villages throughout the country. Mesime village is situated at 14 miles outside Port Moresby, and its main water source is the Laloki River. But due to population increase over the years, the water source has been marred with rubbish of all sorts, making it unhealthy for human consumption.
I am Alan Miria. I'm from Waima in the Berina area, but got married here when Ilimo farm was in place. So after Ilimo finished, because I got married here, I stayed here. And the biggest problem we had in this village was the water situation, because we were relying on the Laloki River, which in the early days was all right because it was not highly populated in around and surrounding areas and upper areas of the river. But when we had a high population, and because it's an industrial area where we have factories and we have piggeries, so we found it a bit difficult with the stress from the populated area, plus the industrial people, we found it very hard to find clean, quality water.
Washing clothes, water, green water. I'm easy straight. Before water, go come, long way looks in water.
We got the project proposal done in 2011, and then got it approved in 2012, and we got it started in 2013. Okay. The project was launched in March 2013, and it took us about 74 days to complete the project.
Esprit Brewery is one of many companies that are entering into private-public partnerships, and within the company's own corporate social responsibility platform, they are required to engage in sustainable projects within communities.
Mesime village was chosen because we felt that the water source from which SP Brewery produces its products is from Sogeri, and when we looked at it closely, we found that none of the villages along the Sogeri Road actually benefit from the water supply that's going into Port Moresby City. And we felt that was strange, but that was reality. So we got in touch with the member for Karukuhiri at the time, because he knew the electorate well, and he asked us to have a look at a number of villages, and we decided Mesime village suited what we wanted because of a number of things. Firstly, it comprised of about 1,000 people sort of living around the same vicinity, and the water source we were looking at, and the project would just require gravity feed.
SP Brewery then sought advice from the Boroko Rotary Club on how best to communicate their project proposal with leaders within Mesime village.
Well, I was president for the Rotary Club of Boroko last year, and we were approached by Kola and Reg, asking us if we would join with them, with SP Brewery, and help look at a water project, clean drinking water for the village of Mesime. So we said yes, certainly we would be delighted to sit on the committee and help. Many committee meetings later, I might say, the water, and walking out to the sites, the water project got going. It is simply to work with and help communities, hospitals, schools, whatever, better themselves. And this was obviously a project to provide water for a whole village of well over 1,000 people. So we were delighted to come in and give our advice, which was what it was mainly. We did put some money in as well, but mainly it was advice and just making sure that from what we knew that it was on track.
It's a very good program where we have partnership with the private enterprise in line with the villages, which we thought was one of the best ideas or best for the village. It was the pilot project, and we were fortunate enough to have it, and we were very grateful or very thankful to SP Brewery for coming up with such a wonderful idea.
Templa like talk thank you lo SP Brewery na Lord free lo give this la money lo helping me pla lo this la wara lo come lo place lo me pla na me pla hama mas me pla it call labor. Me pla it labor lo sim la wara come lo place lo me pla.
Well, I think the success of this project was probably due to two things. Firstly, SP Brewery hired or took on engineers, or an engineer to begin with, and then there were two of them. And I think that was vitally important because it meant that it wasn't just people guessing or whatever. The engineers knew what they were doing. They were trained water engineers, and they went out. And the second real reason was, and perhaps more important, the villagers here actually took control of the whole thing. It was their water project. It wasn't sort of SP Breweries. It was theirs, and they were going to have it done properly as they thought it should be done for them. So they took ownership of it and worked with SP Brewery and us.
For repair and maintenance, you'll find that a lot of the things we build, we just use them until they fall apart. I have to give credit to the village elders who have decided that they put into place a user pay system where they pay probably 2 kina a month from each of the households towards the funding for the maintenance program of the taps and the whole system. I'd like to put in more taps for Mesime village. Our schedule is such that we will visit the village every 3 months just to see how they're going, what the issues are, so that if there's any assistance we can give to them, or we can assist them with putting them in contact with the right people, we will continue to do that. It's not a project that we built and we'll walk away. I think it's important to continue that partnership, and the lifespan of the project is going to be very important for the village.
watching Olsem Wanem, we feature a story on the water project that has made life much easier for its recipients. Dome KRB is a nationally owned company that deals with new and innovative technology. After a year of specialist research, the Cube technology machinery was given the thumbs up to be distributed and utilized in rural communities all over the world. Papua New Guinea has been fortunate enough to be the first recipients of such technology and comes with the approval of the National Research Institute and Ministry of Forestry and Climate Change.
You have to really advise, through the media and whatnot, really promote the technology that's been offered here, because Cube technology, it's taken 1 year of solid research and development in Papua New Guinea, Australia and America to develop this technology, put it in this box, and then bring it here to convert salt water into clean water. Waralok, Teddy, Waralok Kiunga, Waralok Wanem, Fly River, it doesn't matter. And for these things to be brought right here to Papua New Guinea, house to and people something. Because we take water for granted, but you have to understand that the minute you start going down the coastline here, or go back towards places like Lea, people don't have water. This is one of the first of its kind, and I would like to, on behalf of my Minister Patrick Wright, Honorable Minister Patrick Wright, Minister for Forest and Climate Change, for champion this technology. Without political will, without the will of the government of the day, we cannot deliver this important, very vital technology for our people. It is, once again, it is patent in US, but firstly, as historically deployed in Papua New Guinea. So when we talk about technology, using high-tech machines to address climate change and the adverse impacts of climate change, this is what we are talking about. And I thank you, KRB Dome, for establishing their base in PNG in the sector of food security, mitigation, and water quality, which are very real. And without proper mitigating mechanisms and technology, we stand to lose out badly. However, in order to effectively mitigate some of these serious impacts, innovative technologies like what we are witnessing demonstrates to us can assist us manage and control many of these climate change issues. The Cube technology, as we will witness, is a machine that uses high-tech filtration and a purification system called reverse osmosis, or which KRB Dome has labeled RO, to convert salt water into clean, safe drinking water.
Dome KRB representative Greg Cooper explains more on the partnership with relevant sectors and the processes of how much seawater is being converted to clean drinking water.
Well, average ocean water is about 280 to 340,000 parts per million of contaminant, which in this case is generally salt. The water that you drank was 100, which is exactly twice as clean or half as dirty as fresh water from a bottle that you would buy at the supermarket. And it's about 2.5 times cleaner than that from your tap. And so it's an incredible cleaning process, and not only is all the contaminants removed, but also the UV treatment along with the filtration kills the germs and bacteria that are causing obviously a lot of health issues in all people, but particularly in Papua New Guinea and the remote areas. Working out with them for some time to go through the process. We've been supported heavily by Dr. Yalla and Dr. Ondopper and Mr. Wavi of the NRI to go through the official process of customary land registration, which Dome KRB is also endorsed to do in this country. The reason being is we want to highlight that through customary land registration, implementation of such goods and products can be done without causing what is often the issues with land ownership and the need for money, or the arguments that might ensue, and then often the vandalism that might precipitate from that. So right now, Lea, they're very progressive. We've started putting trenches in up there, and they're working through where they want it and the power sources. We're also waiting for Mr. Kilahauda, Governor, to access the power for us. We believe that products like this must be maintained by the government, and all we're asking is that the power supply be paid for by the local government, and no member for Central at the moment, so unfortunately a lot of these requests fall on his office. We have invited him here tomorrow, so we're looking forward for the people to see it and understand that for the small price of power, it can be maintained and it will supply water. The water works out to be half a toya a litre. Of course, you buy, I think, 4 kina for a bottle of water. So cost really isn't the issue on this one.
So if you had 4 of these things in a remote village, you would have 4 of the most basic needs. Your vaccine, your food, your power and your water. That will revolutionise the way people live in this country. Also help the effects of urbanisation. And it's all tied into the use of customary land with the NRI, who have been invited here today because they've been working with us to encourage people to register your land so that implementation of cubes can be implemented in a safe and friendly manner.
Mr. Badira spoke out on how important it is for the ministry to support such technology, especially when it is environmentally friendly.
I think the climate change is very real. Government recognized that back in 2010 when the first office was set up. It is a hottest global issue at this moment. We see that the concentration of carbon is now 400 parts per million, and that is the first time in over 2.5 million years the concentration of carbon dioxide in the atmosphere has reached 400 parts per million. So it is very real. The issue is very real. It's a practical issue that development has to deal with. If we take us back to the community level, we see Cathares Island. We see the coconuts and the betel nuts now growing in the highlands that are not natural vegetation. So what we call the shift in vegetation due to temperature progression up in the highlands. And you can also see the malaria vector-borne disease go up in the highlands. So these are the practical signs of climate change. You see the sea level rise is happening. The sea level is rising, and we can see that. We can see the ice melting in the Arctic. We can also see the ice melting in the Himalayas on the terrestrial. So the signs are there. We have extreme weather events that should be happening once in every 50 years, but are now happening once in every 10 years. I think government recognized the importance of systematically and using systems to address climate change. And we have the government systems in place, the provincial governments, the district governments and the national government. We have partnership programs in place between the NGOs, the private sector. So government is considering climate change as a development issue. When we consider climate change as a development issue, all development interventions that are done in country must have a climate component in there. For example, building a road, building a bridge. So government is considering those kind of key development. When there is impact of climate change on mining sector, or impacts of mining on biodiversity is another issue, but the impacts of climate change on development is an issue that we are really concerned about. For example, Olsem extract gas. They burn gas flares as well. Now, as part of our work, we want to capture the carbon from the gas flares. And I commend Olsem in going forward and trying to capture carbon from burning the gas through the pipes that are coming out, capture the carbons from there. So different private sector in different areas have a duty to ensure that what they do is energy effective. They reduce their emission of carbon footprint. At the same time, they are also bound by international obligations through various countries to contribute to the global efforts to mitigate greenhouse gas emissions.
Speaking on behalf of Minister Pruwaj, Mr. Badira reiterated the department's support for innovative technology.
I have supported this technology as Minister for Climate Change because cube technology will help address the many serious issues facing safe drinking water for our people. I believe that through this demonstration we will see how this innovative technology literally offers clean water, which will lead to improved health standards for many of our disadvantaged communities, especially smaller island and atolls communities. The Office of Climate Change is proud to be associated with innovative industries that can assist government in its pursuit to secure appropriate technology that on the long term offers tangible solutions that we can embrace and secure for our people's daily need. The Office of Climate Change is proud to be associated with innovative industries that can assist government in its pursuit to secure appropriate technology that on the long term offers tangible solutions that we can embrace and secure for our people's daily need. I therefore commend Dome KRB for taking the lead and being receptive in offering alternative means of providing a product that will make a difference to the lives of our people.
Drink na test then you know test also one plus sol wara em wara natin mi drink na mi film mi amas nungudru. I think this la kain machine only go put in lo simbu mi blow simbu na wagi wara deti wara sakamia. I think one blow me go put in lo wagi brute so this la bia mi plus drink deti wara stabia em put in mati mi plus drink one bla good bla wara la bia. Mi amas lo this la machine wo this la sol wara kama wara.
That's all we have time for. A big thank you to the Office of Climate Change and all its partners. Also a big thank you to Mesime Village, SP Brewery and Rotary for their story. Also Cube Technology. And don't forget to comment on any of our programs. You can go to our website or Facebook page. Until then, have a safe week and I'll see you next time on MTV.